Hola, bienvenidos. Hoy vamos a aprender cómo conjugar los verbos AR en español. Today is a very important video because we're going to learn how to conjugate basic AR verbs. There are only 3 different kinds of verbs in Spanish: AR, ER, and IR. Once you've mastered one kind of verb, it's going to make your whole Spanish career that much easier, and hopefully this video will explain it well. First, you need to understand that a verb tense tells us when the action occurs. El presente significa que la acción ocurre ahora mismo. So, since we're in the present tense for the entire time in Spanish 1, we are talking about actions that happen right now. Un verbo infinitivo significa que el verbo no tiene sujeto. So, we always refer to infinitive verbs. That's the verb before it has a subject. And in English, it's like saying to something. For example, to jump, to swim, to see, to watch, all those words that are not referring to a person, but they are verbs. En español, otra vez, hay 3 verbos infinitivos. Los verbos AR, ER, IR. So we know that a verb in Spanish is the infinitive when it ends in AR, ER, or IR. En español, para formar el presente, tenemos que cambiar la parte final del verbo. Este proceso se llama la conjugación. Sin conjugar el verbo, la frase no tiene sentido. Por ejemplo, without changing those verb endings, the word just doesn't make, or the sentence just doesn't make sense in Spanish nor in English. If I were to not change the verb in English, it would sound like I to travel around the world. We always to sing at church. Just sounds really bad. Para conjugar los verbos en español, the first step is always to figure out, is this an AR verb, ER verb, or IR verb? And that will be more obvious, the reason for that later as we progress in Spanish 1, but at this point we're only worried about AR verbs. Después, going to get rid of that ending, the AR, ER, or IR. Número 3. Then we decide who the subject is, who are we talking about, who's doing the action. Y finalmente, you add the correct ending. So every verb in Spanish, when it's conjugated, we add on a new ending to tell us who is doing the action and what tense the action is being done in. No se olviden. You have to remember your subject pronouns. This is how we identify who we're referring to in Spanish. Yo, I, tú, you, él, he, ella, she, usted is you formal, nosotros, we, vosotros, you all in España, ellos, ellas, they, y ustedes, you all in Latin America. Assuming we've identified the verb as an AR verb and we've chopped off that ending, now we add on a new ending. So here are our new endings, and just like the previous slide, they always line up in the same order: first person, second person, third person. So our endings for all AR verbs when we're referring to yo is always o. Tú is always as. Él, ella, usted, a. Notice that this is not gender specific. Yo could be a boy, a girl, it doesn't matter, but it still ends in o. Por ejemplo, the verb hablar, to talk or to speak, is an AR verb because it ends in AR, as you see right here. Now we've chopped off the ending, the AR, and we've added these new endings, again, just as the chart before this slide. Hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, habláis, hablan. To say I speak Spanish, in español, I have to take the verb hablar and make it into hablo. But interestingly enough, in Spanish, that also means I am speaking Spanish, and I do speak Spanish. So the word do, everybody always asks, how do you say do in español? You don't need to say it. It's already implied. Ahora vamos a practicar. Por favor, pausen el video. Take a moment and pause the video and see if you can figure out how to conjugate these new AR verbs that we're just now practicing. ¿Cómo fue? Miren las conjugaciones. So, did you figure out that since número 1, we're talking about ustedes, all ustedes conjugations end in an in the presente con los verbos ar. So we have, instead of pasear, pasean. Él practica. Nosotros, Clara y yo, is talking about nosotros, escuchamos. Miguel y Roberto pasan. Yo monto. And tú estudias. Try again. This time include the pronouns. Remember, we don't always need to have the pronouns in our answer. We learned this when we went over the verb ser. I know that yo soy means I am, but soy means I am by itself as well, so I don't necessarily need to have the yo. But it's good to have it there for emphasis, or in the case of numero uno, if I don't have the word she, in Spanish, I don't know if I'm talking about she, he, or usted just by looking at the ending. So I do need to add it there to clarify. Ahora mira las respuestas. How did you do? Hopefully you're starting to get to the hang of this. Really, it's just a matter of memorizing and taking time to remember the endings o, as, a, amos, ais, an. But don't forget, you can always go back to this video and watch it again, or check out all the resources that there are online. These videos in the corner here might be one way that will help you memorize these conjugations, but we'll also be watching more in class. Adios!